Right, welcome guys. This will probably be one of the last videos we do on Snow White as a film, as its sort of production, the budget, things like that, until the actual numbers are revealed by the tax returns. However, having said that, Snow White was such a failure, okay, such a monumental failure, that even based on the figures we do know, it absolutely chewed up Disney's profits for Deadpool and Wolverine. And, Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it was like Moana as well, Moana 2. So, that puts into perspective just how bad it was. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Now, it also works on the sort of inverse of that, is that those films were so good, depending on how Snow White was put on the books, those films minimise the loss of Snow White. Because Hollywood accounting is a beautiful thing. It's a very interesting thing. When you know how it works, it's fascinating. So, Marvel, for instance, is releasing 2 movies in quite quick succession. Okay, we've just had Thunderbolts, and we're going to be getting Fantastic Four. So what Hollywood does is that they will put a combination of movies on their accounts all in one go, as effectively like a group of movies. Now they all come under kind of one thing, and typically if one of them does well and one doesn't, they balance themselves out. They're on a balance sheet. So depending on, I guess, the sort of scheduling, it will tell you roughly where these films are and whether they're on the same balance sheet or not. Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts will absolutely be on the same balance sheet. So we don't know, obviously, where Snow White was, but it will be interesting to see. So anyway, we're going to dive into this. Please do hit subscribe, turn those bell notifications on, all that good stuff, okay? I know I'm in like gym gear. I've just finished a workout, so soz. But anyway, let's take a look. So I'll leave this article link down below. And it's just interesting. It's just one of those things where, mainstream media needs a bit of a reality check every now and then. Because it's all well and good being like, oh, they did really well and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, but okay, but if you then take their profit and then add it on to all the things that they've made that have also made losses, it doesn't look so hot. Okay, so Disney touts success of Deadpool and Wolverine, but most of the film's profits were consumed by Snow White failure. And bear in mind, we actually don't know the 100% amount that was spent on Snow White yet. We will, categorically, we will actually know the exact amount because they have to file their taxes publicly. Now, some people would agree whether what they're filing is true or not. Yeah, I get that, I understand. We could dispute that until the cows come home. But even if we are just going to take them on face value, we will know what they spent. And it's only going to be more. We already know that they spent $270 million on this, which is retardedly high, right? Like, that's insane. So it's only going to be more than that. Anyway, again, I'll digress a little bit. So whilst Deadpool is impervious to physical harm against supervillains, the Merc with a mouth truly met his match this year at the hands of Snow White. So why? What is it? Well, the R-rated movie shattered records and revived faith in Marvel brand. Not so much anymore. And according to Deadline's most valuable blockbuster tournament, the film brought in over $1.3 billion at the global box office. So it says it brought in $400 million of profit. Again, they don't get the exact figures completely correct. They sort of overestimate, to be fair. But the real story is basically what Disney lost elsewhere. And that's what's important here. So, the Mouse House touts its latest win. Snow White has become one of the studio's most expensive failures ever in history. Early estimates had Snow White starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, finishing between $300 to $400 million globally. Those estimates have now dropped to just $225 million, which is insane. Now, it's interesting, it says here, with the production and marketing budget reportedly exceeding $500 million, I don't know whether I agree with that figure, in fairness, and I quite like the individual that wrote this article, but I just don't know whether I agree with that, because I know that they clamped down on their marketing. So I just can't see that it was $500 million, but we'll get the real figures anyway. The film is now tracking towards a potential loss of $300+ million, basically. So the figure effectively wipes out a majority of the profit earned by Deadpool and Wolverine. In other words, whilst one movie saved face for Marvel, another sank the ship for Disney's broader theatrical division. So, yeah, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Deadpool and Wolverine thrived by embracing the very tone and humour that made the character iconic. Obviously, fans responded to that. And Snow White, on the other hand, was plagued with controversy from the start because, of course, Rachel Zegler did some weird comments about the 1937 movie being weird, outdated. People were like, what the hell are you talking about? You pleb, what you just bizarre individual. Then they had these weird monstrosities that they decided to throw in there, and just bizarre like sound stages of crap. It was just garbage. It was just a really weird garbage film. Changed the story, and still tried to work in some stuff. It was just it was crap. It was actually rubbish in spite of Rachel Zegler, right? Like, even if she wasn't in it, it still would have been shit. So what Disney and Access Media aren't highlighting is the net result of these contrasting outcomes. So they're treating Deadpool and Wolverine like a standalone success that filled Bob Iger's coffers, but they're not telling you that the loss from Snow White essentially cancelled it out, which is true. So that's not even taking into account underperformers like Wish and the Marvels from the previous cycle, which takes a chunk out of other massive successes like Inside Out 2. So this trend raises bigger questions about Disney's decision making. I said this before. I was like, Disney are well out of touch. Like, you've got Lucasfilm trying to make and push Daisy Ridley again still. I'm like, Disney, you're so out of touch. Like, what are you doing? It's really bizarre. It says this, is one blockbuster every few quarters enough to cover the cost of multiple ideological or creatively mismanaged flops? No. At some point, Wall Street and shareholders are going to want more than a Marvel movie every 2 years to balance the books. And also, the point is to grow, grow in profit, not just hover around the same. And Captain America Brave New World, I think Marvel have lost their luster as well, to be honest. So Deadpool and Wolverine basically didn't actually succeed. If you're thinking about it from this perspective. Like, they basically just cancelled one another out. Snow White was so bad that it cancelled out the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. Not all of it, obviously. But it put a significant damper on it. So there you go. Just a bit of fun. I thought we would cover this. Again, this is probably going to be one of the last videos I do on the movie specifically. I think it'll be interesting to cover when the tax returns come out, though. I think that will actually be genuinely interesting. So we will probably look into that. But this is probably it for now. And I know you guys have had enough. But anyway, leave your thoughts down below. Bye now.